For two English-speaking nations, we sure do have quite a lot of words that are not the same. And in today's episode, I'm going to try and figure out some of those words that you guys have in the United States of America that we don't, try and figure out what they mean, and really try and get my head around this whole thing. That is coming right up after this. Hello everybody, how are you doing? Welcome to today's episode. My name is Shaun and I am a YouTuber from Edinburgh in Scotland. Your favourite Scotsman here to provide you with some very light entertainment while we go through this whole horrible, nasty lockdown phase. Favourite Scotsman might be a wee bit arrogant of me, so let's just say maybe your top 3 Scotsmen. Although if I think about Ewan McGregor, Sam Heughan, alright, maybe your top 5 Scotsmen, how about that? Anyway, thank you for joining in, it's great to see you all, and if you're new to my channel, please do not forget hit that red subscribe button and then you will be part of the family, part of all these fun and games. I talk about the United States of America because of my relationship with the United States. I came in 2017 for the first time on an Exploring American Values tour. I had the time of my life and I really fell in love with the country and the people. All of you guys watching, it is just great to have this connection. I love it. So thank you very much for being here. Right here on my channel, you'll find all of my adventures, discovering new places in America and all the places I want to come. And I'll do lots of cultural exchange videos like this one where we talk about language. And if you are interested in Scotland alone, I have got some content exclusively all about Scotland, which you'll find on another location, and you'll find the link to where you can find all about that down below. Okay, some words. Now, as we know, we have got a number of words that are actually very different between Scotland, England even on this little island of Great Britain, we've got lots of different words that we say that are very different from one end to the other. And then, of course, when we take in the United States of America, and Canada as well, into that equation, we know there's a lot of words. And today I want to focus on some of them. So, for example, in the UK, in England, you might say the rozzers, which is a bit of a slang word for the police. You might say you're chuffed. It means you're happy about something. You might say you are absolutely knackered, which means you're tired. Physically and mentally, you could be knackered. You might be having a bit of banter with your mates in the pub. A banter is a bit of fun, a bit of joking with your friends, you know, when you make fun of each other. I'm not sure if you do that in America, but here we tend to make fun of our friends in a quite nasty way sometimes. And then in Scotland, of course, we've got our own dialect, so we'll say words like aye, dinna ken, bra, driech, Egypt, and a lot more. I've got videos on my channel explaining what some of those words are, and I'll put a link down below where you can check some of them out. But today I wanted to look at some words that you guys have in the United States that I've never really heard of before, some of them. Some of them I do know, but I still can't say them really in conversation, and I might never be able to get there, but it's interesting to have this dialogue, right? So let me have a look at some of them, and I'm going to have to use my friend Google to help me through this, right? The first word I have on the list of 15 words that you guys have in the USA that we do not have in the UK is broil. B-R-O-I-L. Broiling is cooking by exposing food to direct radiant heat, either on the grill or live coals below a gas burner or electric coil. Broiling differs from roasting or baking. Wait a minute, is that a word that we don't have? Maybe that's a word that we have here as well, but I've never heard of it. And on these lists of words that are very American, you guys use quite often, broil comes up. I've never heard of it. I didn't know it was something to do with cooking. Broil, it sounds like something in between boiling and baking. I don't know. There you go. There's a word that you guys use in America that maybe I just don't know the lingo, right? Maybe all the cooks out there who are from the UK use this word. I could be talking absolute mince. There's a Scottishism for you, talking mince. When you're talking absolute rubbish, you're talking mince. The next one is a word that appears in the Oxford Dictionary, so presumably it does exist here. Maybe even it started here, but you don't hear it in conversation today. But apparently it's used in America. Drewthir. Drewthir? One's preference in a matter is the Drewthir. In America, apparently it means the power or opportunity to choose. Again, it's not something we use here, not something that you hear very common anywhere here, so I'd like to know actually, how common is this in the United States, Drewthir? The next one on the list is something that we all know about here in the UK that you guys use in America, but we will never ever bring ourselves to say this, right? Because it just sounds wrong, because it means something rather different here, right? Pants. When we say pants in the UK, we are talking specifically about your underwear, whereas obviously in the United States of America, when you say pants, you're talking about trousers. Jeans, for example. You call it pants in everyday conversation, and when we hear it, it jars a little bit because for us, that's very specifically underwear. And you would never go around to a stranger and say, I like your pants there, mister. But obviously because we watch a lot of American television here. Friends, The Simpsons, Big Bang Theory, all that kind of stuff, we hear pants a lot in the description for someone's trousers. So we know what it means, it just doesn't, we just can't say it. ever, and it'll never change. This one is quite interesting, right? Because higher education, right, is very different, obviously, in every country, even between England and Scotland, but there's a couple of things we have in common here. When we're talking about the highest level of education you have before you go into the working world, which I never went to, by the way, university, right? Here in the UK, we very much say university only. You qualify with a degree, maybe a doctorate. You went to university, right? We've got great universities here. Oxford, Cambridge, Edinburgh University, lots of great universities. But in America, you do not say university, you say college, which we find very odd. You know, you get a college degree in America, but your colleges are the same as our universities. But to complicate matters just a little bit further, we have colleges as well. We have colleges which are kind of like an in-between university and high school. I don't know if that's technically correct, right? But a college for us is an educational institution that usually teaches more practical things. You would go to college to learn how to be a mechanic, a plumber, a nurse. There's actually a lot of things you can go to college for. I went to college like a number of years ago, actually, to study an accounting course as part of my job. So for us, a college is like a very practical type of educational institution, but university is very specifically the very thing that you go on before you leave the world of education and go into work, the kind of highest level until you're about the age of 21, 22. So that is a university for us, but for you guys, it's a college. I don't know how those two things evolved in different directions, because you've obviously got great educational institutions in America as well. Harvard, for example. Can anybody explain why? The next on the list is something that could be interesting if you got mixed up, right? Because the word pissed for us means that you're drunk. If somebody's pissed, they're pissed out their face. It means they've been drinking a lot of beer or whiskey or whatever and they're out of their face. They can't walk maybe. They're slurring their words, they're pissed. Whereas in America, if you say someone is pissed, it means they're angry. I find this fascinating to no end, how this type of thing, like I said, evolved in two different ways between yourselves in America and us in the UK. It's interesting. How did that happen? Okay, the next one is a food item that I've been fascinated about, right? Jello. We also have jelly, right? Which is a very hard, wobbly substance, which is the next phase after jam, right? And I understood, for you guys, jelly or jello was the thing that is wobbly and that's what jello is, right? But then I got confused a bit more because, and I think this needs clarification in this video, so you guys who are watching, you can put the clarification for me in the comments. I would love to know the actual definition of this, right? Because what threw me off is when you start saying things like you have peanut butter and jello sandwiches, which, by the way, you guys invented and are great. I absolutely love peanut butter and jam sandwiches is what we call them. Peanut butter and jam, strawberry jam, raspberry jam with peanut butter is the best thing in the world. You guys invented it. Take all the credit for that because it's genius, right? And I can imagine that then what you guys have on your sandwich with peanut butter is actually jam, but you call it jello. Is that right? That's what it seems like to me, but I'm very confused about this because if it's not right, and actually you guys are also talking about the wobbly substance thing, the harder wobbly substance as jello, how could you put that on a sandwich? Do you put that on a sandwich? Because if you do put that on a sandwich, it's just plain weird. I think somebody needs to explain this whole thing. So for clarity's sake, when you say you're having a peanut butter and jello sandwich, what exactly are you speaking about? Are you talking about jam, or are you talking about the wobbly thing? Now here's one I have literally not even a foggiest idea what it could mean, right? And it's not a word, it's a few words, it's a phrase. Up the wazoo. I guess the one word in that I don't understand is wazoo, right? What on this good earth is wazoo when it's at home? I have no idea, so I'm going to have to consult Google. Up or out the wazoo, according to Google, means in great quantities. For example, he's insured out the wazoo. Out the wazoo as well is acceptable. Apparently, this phrase dates back to 1961 when the Californian Pelican, a humor magazine at the University of California at Berkeley, University of California. Hold on a minute. What's this all about? I thought it was a college. Now I'm very confused, guys. This has just opened up a can of worms. Is it a university or is it a college? Anyway, back to the wazoo point. University of California at Berkeley declared on its back cover, "Run it up your old wazoo." I would have thought, even that description, that means your backside. But apparently it means in great quantities, in abundance, in excess. So there you go. I had no idea. This one is bizarre. But it did open a can of worms with university there. University of California. What's this whole college thing all about then? I've got a feeling somebody's going to explain it in the comments. And I would welcome that. The next one is again something that I know about, right? Just through pop culture and all that kind of stuff. But the letter Z, that's not something that comes into our dictionary here in the UK whatsoever. Because of course we see Z, the letter Z. And you guys say Z. Z and Z, very different, both describing that letter. But I do find it interesting how those two versions separated so widely. Okay, here's another one that's a bit of a phrase. 2 words together. Talk turkey. I have no idea what this means. So let's consult Google. To discuss something frankly or straightforwardly. I had no idea. Why is it talking turkey? What has a turkey got to do with all this? A turkey seems innocent in the equation. You guys can explain it. The next one is a humble herb, or herb, as you guys call it. Let's not start that debate again. Right, okay. Coriander is a herb that we use here to flavour our foods. In America, you guys call it cilantro, or cilantro. Cilantro? This one is odd, right? But I presume that is a herb from maybe Mexico, and cilantro is the Spanish way of saying it. I can only assume here, I'm guessing. So I don't know why they are so different, but I would like to know if I'm wrong, if it's nothing to do with Mexico, let me know. This one is a bit controversial because, as you'll know, football is one of the most popular sports in the entire world, and is obviously the most popular sport here in the UK as well. Football is the big thing for us. But when I say football, you guys are probably thinking of something different. You're thinking of pigskins and those weird up high goal things, right? You're talking about what we would call American football. When we say football, what we're talking about to you guys is soccer, all right? Soccer. Why do you guys call it soccer? I've never understood this. Here in the UK, we'll never ever say soccer, right? But as I've just discovered and reading into this, right, you guys are innocent in all this because a lot of British people probably look on Americans who say soccer with suspicion, okay? But research by the University of Michigan, I think you guys are pulling my leg here, right? With this whole university and college thing. Let's just get that out there. Let's talk turkey about it. Is it university or is it college? Please tell me. The University of Michigan did a study on this, and apparently the word soccer actually originated in the UK with us when we were describing the game of football. We used soccer. Up until just 30 years ago, it was within the vocabulary. I had no idea. And if that's true, I would like to apologise on behalf of every single British person who scorns Americans for using the word soccer, if it's true. You guys call it soccer today, we call it football. You guys call American football, we call football football, as in soccer. That's confusing, right? But let's just say the word soccer might have originated in the UK initially. That's embarrassing. That is awkward. The next one again is something from pop culture that we say all the time in America. Sidewalk. We don't have sidewalks here in the UK. We call them pavements. It's a paved ment. But you guys call it a sidewalk because it's the side of the road and you literally walk on it. And to be honest with you guys, I'm with you on this. I understand why you would call it sidewalk. Like I said, it's on the side and you walk on it. You don't drive on it. Pavement is a bit ambiguous. But again, it's not something that we would ever say here in the UK because it just sounds weird for us. We would never say sidewalk, but we do know what it means because of popular culture. Jonesing. I have actually heard this in discussions in previous videos I've done, but I can't remember it, so I'm going to look it up on Google. The dictionary says, jonesing means you have an insatiable craving for something or someone. You're jonesing for something. It's unclear exactly where this slang verb jones comes from and what connection it has to craving, but it most likely originated in the drug scene. Interesting. Well, there you go. Jonesing means you're craving something. It's not something we use here in any capacity, and I would never really know what it means, and I don't even hear it that often. Is it something that's even used that widely in America today? I would like to know, because I've never really heard you guys say it. This one is it totally threw me off, to be honest with you. A backhoe. What is a backhoe? I had to just look this up on Google right now, and the picture shows me a picture of a digger and a tractor. That's how we would call it, but you guys apparently call it a backhoe. A mechanical excavator that draws towards itself a bucket attached to a hinge boom. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's not exactly the tractor itself. It's the thing on the back of the tractor that excavates the land. We would just call that a digger, right? Here in the UK. I feel like that's a more simple, literal way of describing what that thing is. A digger, it digs, right? But you guys call it a backhoe. I would never have guessed. So there you go. And finally, one that I've never even heard of before, but apparently it is an American thing. Going Dutch. What does going Dutch mean? I have no Scooby-Doo rhyming slang for no clue what that means. Going Dutch. Let's see what dictionary.com says about that. Do you want me to pick up the bill or do you want to go Dutch? Makes no sense. When dining, going Dutch means each person pays for their own food or drinks. Isn't that the normal thing to do? Isn't going Dutch the default position? Kind of us here in the UK. Maybe we were all tight buggers. We go Dutch literally every time we eat. Going Dutch means that every person in a group of diners or pays for themselves. And here is a plot twist for you guys. I did not know this. Again, we're trying to pass something off as being American when it actually originated in Britain. Its popularity came from the expression that the perceived stinginess of Dutch people among Brits. But it also comes from an Americanism from the 19th century. That's complicated, it's confusing, but I can tell you now, we certainly wouldn't use it now here in the UK, even if it did come from here. And that's very ironic because British people, and Scottish people in particular, let's face it, are known as being stingy. So going Dutch, there you go, it means everybody pays for their own bill. Like I said, the default position, I would assume. Anyway, that is my list of things in America that you say that we don't really say here. And I want to know your thoughts and opinions on them. Do you have any other crackers that you have up your list that you could tell me about that I could maybe make another video about down the line? I would love to know. And I just want to give a quick shout out to all my members on Patreon. Their support means the world to me and allows me to continue making this content. Please consider becoming a member at patreon.com/Shaun. That's right. It'd be great to see you over there as well. Thanks for watching, and until the next episode, guys, hope you have a good night, morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever time of day it is wherever you are in the world. Take care.